Welcome to Foodnutt. Jackie Mazzucato here, and today I'm going to cook one of my all-time absolute favourites, Coq Au Vin, so chicken in wine. It's a French dish, and so lots of sort of French flavours. We're going to use some pancetta, shallots, mushrooms, but what I've done to get started in my nice cast iron pot, I've just got a tablespoon of olive oil and about 35 grams of butter. The reason you mix the oil and the butter together is so that the butter doesn't burn. And all I'm going to do is add my 200 grams of diced pancetta. I'm going to add my tablespoon of diced garlic. And to that, I'm going to add the shallots. So there's about sort of 15 or so shallots here. I love lots of shallots in my Coq Au Vin. And what we're going to do is just cook that away in the pan until your pancetta, the fat renders out in the pancetta, and we get some nice colour onto the shallots. So that one's browning off nicely now, and I'm just going to throw the mushrooms in there. So I've got about 250 grams of brown button mushrooms. Got some beautiful flavours forming there. When we deglaze the pan with the wine later, those flavours will come off. So this one's almost ready just to take out, and then we'll brown the chicken. Okay, now we've browned off the vegetables and put them aside for a moment. What we want to do is brown our chicken. So I've just got here some chicken thigh fillets. I've got 8 of those. And I've just lightly coated those in flour, and that'll allow those to brown up. This is a lovely dish and really, really well suited to a cast iron pot because that's going to keep a nice consistent heat through your chicken. There we go. That flour that we've put on the outside of the chicken will also help later to thicken up our stock. Okay, great. So we've just browned off the chicken there, and we're going to go through the next stage. So what you want to do is you want to add your wine before you add your stock. And I've got about 500 mils of wine now, a lot more wine than we'd normally use. Coq Au Vin normally traditionally cooked with red wine. However, you can also use white wine. I've seen people do it with a Riesling or a Chardonnay. So that we're just deglazing the flavour off the bottom of the pan now. So you'll see here that it's now deglazed on the bottom of the pan, and we've cooked off that wine for a couple of minutes as well. So now's the time to add back all of our other ingredients. So what I'm going to do now is add back all of our veggies. Well, add back all of our onions, our mushrooms and our pancetta that we cooked off earlier. I've got about 400 mils of chicken stock here that I'm going to add in. We'll let that come back to a boil. As that's boiling away, I'm going to add my herbs. So I've got 2 bay leaves and a couple of sprigs of fresh thyme. The thyme smells amazing. So I'm going to cook this now for about 20 minutes, just on a low simmer. Now, the reason I'm going to leave my top off is there's a lot of liquid in here. So I'm going to leave the lid off and let that start to evaporate as it's cooking away. Okay, so this is the point that you're going to want to season it. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of cracked pepper. But as far as salt, what I need to do is first taste that, because you're not going to know how salty your pancetta was. And it's really important to taste it, add a little bit of salt, taste again. And if it's not quite right, then add a little bit more. What you don't want to do is add salt to a recipe, not having tasted, and then find that you made it too salty. So that's now been simmering away for 20 minutes. So what I need to do now to thicken the sauce, I'm going to take all of the chicken and onions and mushrooms with a slotted spoon out of the pot. I'm then going to boil away the sauce for about 10 minutes. So what we've done now is we've reduced that sauce down by about half, and its beautiful flavours have now been reduced. I have in this bowl 100 mils of cream and just 1 egg yolk, and I'm just going to whisk that through while that's still warm, and that will thicken my sauce and add that extra dimension of flavour. Now I'm going to turn the heat back on slightly, but I just want to make sure I don't boil that. Beautiful flavour, that beautiful thick sauce that's coating our chicken, mushrooms and onions. Oh, divine. I have these amazing rich aromas coming from this dish. Just while this was cooking away, I popped on some potatoes so that we could have mashed potatoes. There we go, look. Some of those beautiful mushrooms and onions and pancetta. some of that gorgeous sauce. Now I cooked this one with the new offer that we've got on Foodnutt, the Henry Holmes Barossa Shiraz. I won't tell Foodnutt I put a $40 bottle of wine in the pot here, but luckily enough I got mine for $11.99 like you can now from Foodnutt. Normally with a chicken dish you wouldn't necessarily drink such a full-bodied wine, but you can with this one because we've cooked with the wine. You'll find that this is a lot richer than a normal chicken dish. And in fact, you can also make this one with beef if you like. Buon appetito.